Okay.
But, all right, welcome to Rock Pops. This is a podcast, right? We do podcasts. Is that what
Is
we
this
do?
what they call it?
We do podcasts. Did they change what the name of it was?
Yeah.
All right. This is a radio show about
right.
dads and dads' contemporaries talking about music.
I'm a contemporary of yours.
Back on the show, we have Mr. Joe Imburgio.
Hey, it's me again.
Joe, we didn't plug anything that you do. Joe's in a band called Bueno. He does this awesome podcast called JV Squadcast. He's just a Renaissance man.
He works on a
you.
show that you've never probably heard of, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway,
Joe just he works and twerks all day.
We're here to talk about album covers?
We're talking about album covers. No,
yes.
this is a quick
album
one.
covers that don't fit the album.
Right.
Well,
no, we're here to talk about the final songs on albums, correct?
final songs on albums. Joe and I had a trend. We did debut albums. We did track ones on albums. So it's only fitting to just do what the final songs on albums. What are good ones? What are bad ones? What are medium ones?
When you talk...
Wait, how do you define medium?
You know, you just send the album. You're like,
like,
I mean, that's most albums.
outro... on
exactly. So that's why we're doing this.
That's
because
big.
we have to
That's
really,
a long fucking podcast.
We have to identify what the good ones
categorize
are.
and identify.
All right.
Because, I mean, we have a goddamn responsibility here to say, hey, what albums...
To give our bullshit opinions on things.
We have to tell people what to stick around for. Stay till after the credits.
Do you consider hidden tracks last tracks?
No.
Okay, that's my question.
Those are bonuses, baby.
No. Come on now. I feel like that's kind of... Their last tracks.
So you're going to say
You
that
think they're the
something in the
last
way
track?
on
Yeah.
Nevermind is not the last track on Nevermind, and we have to do Endless Nameless, which is just a jargon of noise?
I mean, if you put the last thing on there, especially now, if we're talking about today's day and age, it's the last
Today's
song.
day and
Let me
age,
look at
there's
it.
a
Digital. If you
bonus
look at
track.
a digital thing,
Let me
man.
look at it on Spotify. I'm curious.
Although, yes, I get the idea of, okay, here is a piece of work. We have finished the piece of work, and then here's an epilogue. Cool. I get that.
So let's just throw that out there. Abbey Road, The End. This is the last thing that the Beatles ever recorded, or at least in sequence for the album.
But
And then
Majesty.
Her Majesty, because they had a couple of minutes of tape left.
I think that's actually a great end of the
Yeah.
album. It's a really perfect way
Well,
to end
especially
it.
with them because they were very, they
They're
had
so
a cheeky sense of
They're
humor.
just so cheeky, those people.
It's also like the perfect thing to describe what everybody hates about Paul McCartney.
I know, you
It's
just
like
have
he has
to
to
get
get the last word in.
Exactly.
That like grandma rock type of
Yeah.
stuff. Like,
Yeah, all of that. The
But
grandma
I'm
rock.
done.
Yeah, exactly. You had to say ta-da at the end of all of it.
let me throw my gripe out there so we don't have to talk about it later and we could have fun things to say because people are going to hate me. I was doing some research on what other people think great songs are, final songs, and I keep on hearing, what an amazing album, The Clash's London Calling, Train in Vain. Really? It's kind of like you're kind of getting played off, like a see ya.
It's a great fucking song.
It's not a great last song.
I mean, but I don't know. That album is like
That album is great. And
Yes.
you're ending with Train in Vain?
Yes, because that album is like it's like a jumble of different kind of styles that all tends to work for that fucking album. So I give that a pass. I know what you're saying. I feel like that style of it's completely different than the rest of the album.
When I think of that song, I think of like going off into the sunset or something. I don't know. It works for me as a last song. I don't think it's a great last
It's
song.
skipping off into the sunset and into such like a rebellious that album had so much to say and then it kind of like
So you think it's like their Her Majesty? It's like a little throwaway cheekiness?
it gives levity to the entire album.
Is there anything wrong with that?
What are you talking about? There's so much levity on that album.
Gotta listen to it again, I guess. You win. I surrender.
Montgomery Cliff. That's like.
Then put Montgomery Cliff at the end of the goddamn album.
All right. What else? You were going to say you had a problem with Radiohead endings.
Oh, Radiohead endings. Okay, so no, Radiohead. Almost every album has a great final track.
The one that sticks out to me is Motion Picture Soundtrack, I think.
Motion picture soundtrack, I would feel is the best. I was torn between that and Street Spirit.
I was such a herb in high school. I was like listening to it and I was like, when I die, this needs to be played at my funeral.
Street Spirit or Motion?
Motion Picture Soundtrack.
But wait, that's
I'm a
not
loser.
the last song, though, is it?
No, well, that's one of those hidden tracks, you know?
No, isn't it? That's like
Oh, that's
like
the
fourth
Tourist.
song. The Tourist.
No,
is the
the
last
Tourist
song.
Tourist
is
is
OK
OK
Computer.
Computer. Motion
Oh,
Picture
no.
Soundtrack is on Kid A.
Kid A, yeah. The Tours is OK
Oh.
Computer. Street Spirit is a beautiful song. It's like one of the first songs I learned how to play on guitar. Hey, check it out, you know.
Great album cover, too.
But great album cover.
Since that's the topic.
But here's my problem with Street Spirit. I think there's like 3 songs on the bends that could have been great last songs. Like Bulletproof could have been sat in that. Probably even better than Street Spirit. What's the other one? Nice Dream?
Love Nice Dream.
Nice Dream actually would have been. Here's my rules about...
I feel like I like Nice Dream a lot, but I don't feel it's a better song than Street Spirit.
Last songs. Here's my rules.
Okay.
If anybody... Does anybody else have rules?
No.
All right.
But
All right. So
you do.
These are things that keep me up at night, all right?
All right.
I just found out about this topic. I don't,
I'm sorry I gave you 24 hours to do this. Been thinking about it for years. You have 3 different rules or just components for a last song. It's either it's going to be your grand opus, it's going to be your long cut, it's going to be your epilogue or your like end credits. Like let's just bring up Redbox for a second. Another Light, right? At the end of Another Light, we have Burn a Picture. Burn a Picture is
Who's Breadbox?
Redbox?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Red
They
Fox.
said Breadbox.
The Boston Red Sox?
Got it.
Right. So, Burn a Picture is a very, like, end credit song. And then we did the bonus song at the end, which was Stranded, which was our, like, 9+ minute song. The only other thing that I would say is allowed to be a last song is a just all out, you're putting all your energy into one thing. You're like your loudest, your heaviest, just your most dynamic song. But yeah, you look at the stuff that like we've been putting out, Pale Blue Dot, Burn a Picture, In a Dream, like those were all just end credits or just like your kind of like burnouts. And that's really what you look for. One thing that like we all agreed on before this started was Only in Dreams.
Right.
Only in Dreams.
So much so we're like we like almost like it doesn't count. We won't talk about it as a last song
because
because
it's just a given.
Yeah. But that makes it a perfect last song.
Joe Pecora and I always bring up Weezer's Blue Album. It's such an impactful album, and it's a band that has paid dividends on that 1-2 albums to make us go back and check out everything that they're doing afterwards. But Only in Dreams, you, Joe Imburgio, boosted this for me in high school.
Why, with the Cowboy Bebop thing?
Yes. Because it was this song that I thought was really cool. I really enjoyed this album at the time. And let me bring you back to the year 2000, 2001. Joe Imburgio over here was a navigator on E-Bombs World.
Okay.
E-Bombs World, which predated YouTube.
Yeah.
And
it was a whole world. It was E-Bombs World.
It was E-Bombs World. Who's E-Bombs?
I don't know. E-Baum. Is it electronic Baum? Is it like Ed Baum? What is E-Baum? You know what I mean?
You would know better than I do.
I don't know. I never.
E-Bound.
Yeah.
There it is.
E-Baum's World. That's so funny. I'll look that up.
But
go on, yes.
And that's why I'm happy you're here today, because this is...
Because of E-Bound's World?
It really laser focused me onto Weezer. Were you at that concert at Jones Beach?
I think so. Did we take a limo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this was my first concert.
This was what...
Took a fucking limo?
We thought that's how you go to concerts.
Yeah.
Herbs.
Yeah.
The date was September 29th, 2001. We took a limo to Jones Beach. It was The Faint and Weezer.
Oh, wow.
The Faint.
Yes. The front 3 rows flooded that show. But yeah, they played Only in Dreams. Only in Dreams, Cowboy Bebop. Somebody spliced the two together, and it was beautiful.
It was like a music video using scenes from the anime Cowboy Bebop. I don't know if you're familiar with it. Yeah. That concert was, I guess, my second concert. My first concert was Tom Jones with my parents.
Those don't count. I saw Chubby Checker.
I think it counts. I don't know. But my first, I'm going out to see my own concert was that one with you. Yeah.
You know, you always think of like the Simpsons episode, like where they go see Spinal Tap, and like they're wearing the leather jackets and stuff, and it's the first one that they're doing on their own, and like their parents are waiting in the car.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
That was what that was. But no, Only in Dreams is the perfect final track because it hits all those 3 components. It's the end credits. It gets to the heaviest at certain points, and it's the long cut. You know, which is weird because Stairway to Heaven does all that, but When the Levee Breaks is the last song, which is an amazing song too.
It just hit me, by the way, the reason we probably took a limo is because none of our parents wanted to drive us and wait around and pick us up.
Yeah.
And they probably just figured it was cheaper to split a limo.
But it was so pimp.
I don't know. I guess.
It was so pimp.
Like Coca-Cola in the back. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we're cool. I took a limo to a Burger King once too. In
Really?
6th grade. Because I sold a lot of magazines.
What kind of magazines?
Just magazines, I don't know.
Okay.
I think I just bought like 6 subscriptions to GamePro or something.
So you went from your house in Rosebank to where was
On Highland Boulevard?
My school in Rosebank, and then I went to Burger King on Highland Boulevard. Wow. So a total of 3.6 miles.
Wow.
I MapQuested.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Was the limo able to make it through the drive-thru?
No. We went inside.
We went inside. Like actual kings.
Yeah. And the limo driver opened the door for us.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, what a gentleman.
It was a major award.
Yeah.
The only 2 times I've rode in a limo.
That's pretty cool.
The only 2 times you've ever rode in a limo were Weezer and Burger King?
Yep.
That's pretty good. Not the prom?
I walked to the prom.
Oh. To the Farrell prom?
Yeah.
You don't live anywhere near Farrell.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
I definitely wasn't.
Did you take the Billmobile?
Come on, just play along to the story.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry.
Burger King and Weezer, Joe.
Okay. All right, so Only in Dreams is the consensus as the standard that we're weighing other last tracks to. Is that
if we're
the
playing
idea?
by my rules, yes.
I guess we have no choice. I didn't have any rules.
So do we do that for, like, I mean, are we doing givens for, like, you know, like the Beatles? Like, you know, Tomorrow Never Knows is kick-ass last track.
Well, when you told me about this topic, I was kind of thinking of it in a broader context about, like, what was going on with the artist at the time and, like, what was going on with the album. And, like, for instance, you guys heard of this Bob Dylan fella?
No,
you know this guy?
What does he do?
He's been around for a while, right? Okay. They called him the voice of a generation at one point.
Cover Taylor Swift songs?
Probably.
Cool.
Oh, then I know him.
Yeah. But he had a run of albums. You know about this? His, like, Christian period?
Yeah.
He, became Christian.
In the 70s, right? Late 70s.
It was, late 70s to the early 80s. And there were 3 Christian albums. It kind of gets, heavier as they go. Like, the second one's called Saved, and that one's, he's talking about, men wanting to die and God refusing to kill them. It's all this, heavy apocalyptic imagery and stuff. And there's also some, dopey shit, man gave name to all the animals, naming a pig a pig. It's very fun to go through. It's a cool run. But the third of the 3 Christian albums is called Shot of Love. And it's kind of where he goes back into half secular music, half, Christian. And the final cut of that album is called Every Grain of Sand, and it's a beautiful song. And it's sort of the culmination of everything he's been talking about in those 3 albums, distilled into this one song. It's a beautiful song. It kind of ends the Christian period in a really nice way, and it kind of caps that before he moves on to...
Brings up the sum of all of its parts. Right?
Yeah, so that was what I was thinking about, a last track on something, that the broader context of it, when it came out. And it's a longer song. Oh, so it fulfills that.
I guess.
You got that one. It's one of your rules.
No, I never heard it. The Bob Dylan stuff, aside from Blood on the Tracks, Freewheelin', Highway 61, I got kind of deviate away from that middle period.
Well, I started getting really into his middle period. It's really great stuff in there.
Really
I recommend. Street Legal's an awesome album.
Street Legal.
Yeah, that one's cool.
I went through a little bit of a Bob Dylan appreciation. Janine went through a Bob Dylan college course.
Oh, nice.
When she was doing her undergrad, and she got all these textbooks and everything, and started getting
Bob Dylan textbooks.
Yeah,
wow.
There's a lot of literature on it. And I don't know, there was something about the professor of the class was friends with the woman who was on the cover of Freewheelin'.
Wow.
Yeah, with him. And that's just one period that I am completely unfamiliar with. But that sounds...
I recommend it. It's cool.
It sounds really nice.
Yeah. All 3 albums are fun. And then another one I was thinking of was, you know who David Berman is? Silver Jews. And
passed away recently, right?
Yeah. Purple Mountains was his final release. Mm-hmm. And it's a really great album. Really beautiful.
Yeah.
And the last song on that is called Maybe I'm the Only One for Me. It's funny and sad at the same time.
Yeah.
It kind of sums up all that. And then, he unfortunately, he killed himself, I think 2 years ago now, maybe 2.5, right before his comeback show. It was before COVID, so 2019. Mm-hmm. But that's another one that in the context of the album and everything he was going through, this divorce, this very painful divorce that he wrote, he wrote about that in the album, in the music video for one of the songs, his wife is in it. And it's about her. It's all this really self-referential stuff, and that track is just it's sweet, it's sad, it's all everything about him. I think is kind of encapsulated in that track. It's a good last track.
That's a similar. I'm going to probably be totally wrong about this because of how I learned of the song when I was younger. But isn't that a similar concept to Love Will Tear Us Apart? Wasn't that not completely wasn't that released after Ian Curtis died?
Oh, I don't know.
Because I know, that was the story told to me when I was a kid, and it's always stuck in my brain. And I don't know if that's accurate or not.
I never, it seems like more of a swan song, but
Yeah.
no, I never really knew.
The other swan song is All Apologies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a good last track in the context of everything,
Well,
Although I guess it's not his last song that came out when he moves out of the one, You're Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, All Apologies, especially off of whatever the last album was, and then everything that came out posthumously is another good example of that is Redemption Song by Bob Marley.
Yeah.
Right? Uprising was the last one released before he died, and it was written right when he was diagnosed with cancer.
Oh, wow.
And it's as much as it's a political anthem, it's also just a reflection on just his entire life, and it's so beautiful. And then if you listen to it in just that context, and it's the final track off of Uprising as well.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's such a perfect end credits type of song.
Sure.
Which is also on the end credits of I Am Legend. So that helps it as well.
Really? That's so funny.
Yeah.
I like to derail, as I usually do.
Please.
So this makes me think of the artist versus the art. Okay? So I also enjoy, I enjoy finding out a little bit more about what went into the song and that kind of. So when we get into that territory, what if you found out that the artist is a real piece of shit, right? And the last song you heard from them before they got canceled or whatever kind of makes you rethink everything else they've done because you're looking at it in the light of why they just got canceled, right? And I know there's always the argument of, well, no, man, you just got to you have to go by the art that they created and not by the person or what they have done. How do you, and in today's day and age where everybody has to know everything about, there's no mystery involved in an artist anymore. I feel like artists can't exist with any kind of mystery.
I cannot, I'm incapable of, I'm very good at separating the art from the artist. I can't not separate the art from the artist. Everyone, there's so many pieces of shit in the world, and then some of them make something cool. I don't know, for me, I can accept the end product and separate from the person that made it and how I receive it and what it makes me think. I don't really always care or allow it to infect or invade the thing that I like about it.
Right.
I don't know what it is. I mean, maybe it's a flaw of mine, but
No, I don't think it's a flaw. I think it's a valid thing.
I can't help it, yeah.
I find myself conflicted not for not for social justice reasons or anything. It's just that now I know where this thing
And you can't
came
help
from.
but think about it.
And
It takes
and
you
I
out
think
of it,
about.
Is there an example?
I don't know, in Michael Jackson or there's no real. I don't really have an example. It's just there are artists that I just am not going. I have a hard time liking, and I just don't want to care. There's enough music out there in the world for me.
But that's the same thing too. That's just how that's how you're interpreting it. So therefore, you don't like it. If I interpreted something that way, then I wouldn't like it too. I don't know. I guess it's just about context and how you receive the message.
Sure.
But yeah.
But anyway, so I'm sorry.
No, it's two things about this, and here's another gripe. I'm going through that right now because Halloween was just around the corner. And
it was just around the corner, yeah.
The last corner that we passed. We passed that corner.
It's over on Redford.
But when this is going to probably be released 3 weeks from now.
Yeah.
So last month, Halloween happened. And what's one of the big pop Halloween songs is Thriller. And my kids listen to it, and it's on over and over and over. And so is Somebody's Watching Me by Rockwell, but who also sings on that. So it's now my kids discovered Michael Jackson. And it's how do you handle it now? Because back then, everybody was obsessed with it.
Yeah, but it's also not, that song's not all Michael Jackson.
If you need to, there's also the period of Michael Jackson songs. I think Bad On is where things get questionable in terms of his life, right? So Thriller's before Bad. You don't have to worry about that.
Right. Well, let me talk about Thriller, and let's talk about the last song on that, because that album was, it's not a no skips album, but what's the last song on that? Lady in My Life?
I don't know.
You don't know because it's a shit final song.
Okay.
Oh, I also don't know because the last time I listened to all of Thriller was like when I was in third grade.
Greatest selling album of all times. You have a shit final song, and then you and Paul McCartney had a flip coin toss of which song you're going to duet together, and Michael Jackson lost because The Girl Is Mine sucks, but Say 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 is a bop.
I like The Girl's Mine.
I like it too.
Sorry. I like Girlfriend too, but that's not off the wall, right?
Girlfriend is right. I don't know.
Matthew Sweet cover.
Is it?
No,
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know Thriller is an album. I'm bad with albums. That's why this was a tough topic for me. I know songs, but I don't always know albums, or at least not growing up.
As long as we talked about Only in Dreams, we're good.
But that's a big deal, though. I think that's a big aspect of final songs we're talking about is really the. I feel like the death of the two-sided medium. I mean, not obviously people are enjoying like vinyl again, but
Yeah, which is great.
But I feel like the just having like first of all, just being able to just pick a song out and listen to things randomly. Yes, of course, it kills an album, but also kills the last song vibe. But also, I think if listening to a whole thing without an intermission kills the last song vibe as well. And there's also the last song of the first side.
Yeah,
Which has
It's kind of a last song energy, right?
Yes, it has, but it's different. It doesn't have like
which
the
was
same.
Thriller.
Was it?
Thriller's the last song on side A.
It still has like you wanting more.
Yeah.
And I feel like a good thing for the last song, and this is why Radiohead really kind of nails it, and Only in Dreams kind of nails it, and you were kind of saying it before, is that you are giving the send off. You have expended all energy, and it's just like it's it's the big C shot, you know, and you're like, okay,
C shot.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll curse every other.
Somehow that's
once in-
dirtier. I don't know.
You talked about Tomorrow Never Knows before.
Yes.
And Tomorrow Never Knows is perfect because, like, Tomorrow Never Knows when I started feverishly getting into the Beatles, and I'm trying to avoid it because we really shot a load on the Beatles at the beginning of.
You shot a whole
Oh,
C
it's
shot
just
on
going to
him.
happen all the time.
It
Weezer and the
will.
Beatles.
And, like, I really wanted to talk to you about the re-release of Revolver, too, and everything, but, that's a whole other episode. Tomorrow Never Knows is just the, like, listening up until this point, and then this is that fourth rule that I just did not even, make up.
The
until
secret
now.
the secret
This is
fourth
the secret
rule that you just
the
made up.
goalpost has changed yet again.
God.
Which is okay, here's something you never heard before.
Yeah.
And
Right.
It's like,
Right.
because
This is where we're going next, bitches.
Exactly.
It's like a
Yeah.
to be continued.
but then where do they go next is Sgt. Pepper's. And Sgt.
Great album
Pepper's, great album. Sgt. Pepper's has bookends. And Pink Floyd's got a lot of bookends, like Shiny Crazy Diamond and Pigs on the Wing. Like, bookends are really good, too, where you start and finish with the same song. But they also have the epilogue, which is A Day in a Life.
That's a good
That's
one.
a
Day in a Life is, what a wonderful song. Day in a Life is the first Beatles song I learned how to play on piano. It's how I formed the way I play piano. It's such a...
With 4 pianos.
Yeah.
It's such an impactful song. I don't know. The middle bridge kind of like takes me out of it a little bit, but
Paul?
yeah,
Oh man.
he
Well,
really wanted to like get himself in there a little.
of course, he didn't get the ta though.
I got a problem with bridges though. I mean, that's a conversation.
Oh,
like,
that's me and Jen's like that's a big thing for us is bridges in a song.
It can make or break a song for you.
No, but I feel like bridges really like bridges can make like a great song amazing. Like something that has like one of the best bridges ever.
Mm-hmm.
When that happens, it like turns this really beautiful
lifts
song
it, yeah.
into something
Mm-hmm.
like beautiful.
wow, you just turned my whole opinion on bridges around.
You know what's
because of that.
another? I'll give. This is just something a band recently that I just started listening to. They're from the late '80s, early '90s, called House of Love. They're a British band, and they're kind of like in that. They were in that crossover period between like that new wavy, gothic-y kind of like Echo and the Bunnymen kind of thing, going into shoegaze era.
Cool.
And they have these bridges that they're almost like bridge is like another part of a song, but it's almost like a completely different song, and they're all really fucking catchy. They're just like equally cool other song parts that go on. They're not like a middle 8. They're like 16 to 32 or whatever. They're long bridges, and they're just really fucking cool. So
Yeah, bridge is a cool concept. It's just like we're playing in this world in this chord structure and like this vibe, and like we're gonna take a digression just to show you how cool the rest of the song is, but we can still do something cool. I don't know, it's just like I love the concept of a bridge, you know?
Yeah, I like it too. It's also the other. It keeps you, because our emotions are complex, and I feel like in a song, it's really expressing. It gives you an opportunity to express the the sweet and the salty and all that. That just a different side of what's going on, or maybe like, this is what I'm really worried about, but then when I think about it, blah, 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 and then I go back to the thing I'm worried about, or whatever. Like, bridges are amazing.
It creates a new tension to be resolved.
I had a little bit of a heel turn to bridges.
Just now or before this?
Before this, but like,
are you face turning now?
I'm face to. Oh man, that album, like that's a forgotten album. Anyway,
what? Yeah. So what was the thing? What was your thing with bridges?
"Crazy on You" by Heart. An amazing song. The bridge just like jams on the brakes.
What happens in the bridge?
It's the what you gonna do? It's unnecessary.
Yeah.
But like once you brought up something, I'm like, with you're asking me if I love girl. It's that makes the song. Like.
This is one that I feel like is always really great, but I don't know if it's considered a bridge or is it an interlude. Don't Fear the Reaper.
Oh yeah.
When it gets to that, like,
feels like an interlude.
Is it an interlude?
I don't know. I mean, it feels like one because it's so like digressive.
Yeah. But then we go back into the main song.
Yeah.
I feel like if there's no lyrics to it, then it's probably an
interlude. Yeah.
Interlude.
I mean, do bridges need lyrics?
Probably. I don't know. It's we're 20 years from my music major. I did remember.
I mean, we're in a postmodern world, Bill. Yeah. It only matters what we think matters.
Who's to say?
Yeah.
I
like to see a college class on bridges. That's unnecessary.
No, like college, like musical bridges.
Yeah,
or like,
no.
Architectural.
Maybe it would be both.
Okay. Play some bridges.
Comparative literature.
Or
play bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Like old people.
Oh, okay. All right. Did you say mahjong too?
I like the way you say
mahjong.
Mahjong. It's the French version.
Yeah. All I know is the South Shore Staten Island Italian and old Jewish lady version of mahjong.
While they're playing bocce.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that you, who is a huge Who fan, have not talked about "Won't Get Fooled Again."
I was going to say that, but I figured, yeah. But the Who always had pretty good, on their good albums had like good closing tracks. That was like a good, he's Pete Townshend's so like bombastic and showy anyway that he's going to have the finale.
Yeah.
Who by Numbers is just throw that one off because do you remember any songs from Who by Numbers? Slip Kid is the only song.
I don't know any either.
Oh.
I'll just do that.
Yeah, I don't know anything from Who by Numbers or Who Sells Out or I just going back to the album covers. Like, you want to talk about an ugly album cover is just them like with like the beans in the toilet.
Yeah,
and the bathtub
it's
and
Pete
stuff.
Townshend's ginormous nose.
Yeah.
I just want to just detour again, like I always do, to Pink Floyd. Like Eclipse, amazing. Outside the Wall is a great epilogue to the Trial. Like the Trial, but like you got to take the Wall as a theatrical piece. And I don't know, did you see it live when Roger Waters came through?
No.
Like it was one thing. This is part of my core four of like albums that are really important to me, even though I am not really a big fan of the Wall album.
No?
The live version of it, which isn't on Spotify, is my definitive version of the Wall. And it really just gravitated me towards the spectacle of what like a show should be.
Right.
And like why like you should have so much energy. This is why like I like always trying to ham it up and everything is because the Wall performance is always beautiful. Like just like Bill in the Wall up on stage, having the puppets and everything, but like what an ending to an album. Like all this literally built up and then tearing down, and then you just have this like somber, just like acoustic song like on top of the wreckage, and that's really a nice way to play off an entire piece of, an entire work of art.
Yeah.
What's that one song? Run.
Run Like Hell.
Yeah, it's got a cool riff, but I don't like the song. You know what I mean?
It's not like a great song. It's
Yeah.
it's just something that you can kind of like. It's anthemic.
Yeah. Exactly. It feels cinematic.
It's just more of like a threat.
But I was like 5 when it came out, and there were lots of advertisements on TV, and it was fucking scary to a 5-year-old.
Oh, I bet.
Oh yeah.
There was lots of like
All the Joe Scarfa animations.
yeah, and it was a lot of just repeating the face coming through the wall, and then at the same time the video for Another Brick in the Wall came out, and there were the kids like falling into a meat grinder, So that my image of that of the wall is very it's kind of like burned into me. That, and also somewhere around 10, I think I started hitting like emotional puberty, if whatever, and where I started getting very emotional about like little things. And one was, I remember I used to sit in my parents' living room and just play the radio and play G.I. Joe, and like the radio was on just all day. And the was it Another Brick in the Wall Part 3 came on, and
which is the hardest one, like.
Yeah, and like Daddy's Gone Across the Ocean.
Yeah.
And it was like, I remember that, like my dad had just left for work. My dad's a fireman. And he just left for work. And he said, leaving just a memory. And I like lost my shit.
Wow.
It's the wall. So the wall, like I have like a pretty intense relationship with it.
Yeah.
I don't, also the first time, like, what was, like I can remember the first time I really thought of guitar solos and guitar music as being like emotive.
Mm-hmm.
And Comfortably Numb is that.
Yeah, the major and minor solos, right?
Yeah. But also it's that bendy kind of, like, David Gilmour thing. So, I don't know. That was my...
Great last song.
Great last song.
Great last song.
But yes, I love... it's a great last song? I don't know if you've ever listened to Blind Melon's Soup.
No. I only know No Rain.
I don't know that.
And people always say,
first
listen
of all,
to Blind Melon.
Blind Melon, the first 2 albums are... I mean, the third one is posthumous, and it's just kind of pieces put together. It's still pretty cool. But those 2 albums are fucking solid. They're really great that you can hear that it's a band playing live. And the second one is them
That's
like
cool.
getting more intricate and weird. And that's a band, if you want to think about listening to the songs and follow a person's like trail, or in his case, a downfall, you really hear it.
He
in
died
Soup.
like...
Yeah. Like, he died, like, right after they were starting the tour for Soup.
Yeah.
And Soup ends with a song called Lemonade. And Lemonade, the whole album starts with this kind of, like, New Orleans kind of brass band thing, and ends with the brass band. And I think it's pretty perfect. They're a great band. Or they were.
I'm just like, scrolling through my Spotify, trying to think of any other albums.
Yeah. Did you so in any of the bands that you were in, albums you have made, did you ever feel that pull to make sure that the last song
Every
was,
time, yeah. Even though we know no one cares about albums,
Yeah.
At the Honey one, we had a song called The Controversial Ending,
Right.
because it was dramatic.
What do you think
I
is
guess.
the best one? What do you think is the one that really nailed? Do you think you've ever nailed the last song?
Oh, that's a good question. It's hard to say. Like, Honey was the only intentional album I feel like I ever made. The Bueno stuff is all very, like... I mean, you worked on it. It's all really, like, random and, like, kind of pieced together in post.
Right.
So we don't always know what the last track's going to be until we find it. So it's not necessarily planned in advance,
Yeah, but even still, during that process, during that building process, you start piecing things together and
Yeah.
seeing how things build up and play out. Like, even in that context... Have you
Yeah, I
something?
thought the last track on that one, Babyface, is really nice.
That was a great song.
It's a really nice song. I thought that was a really good ender. And then the last Honey song, Controversial Ending, I thought it was a really sweet tune
Yeah.
that capped the way we were feeling. And listening to that, Mikey has said that it's hard for him to revisit those songs because of what he felt like he was going through at the time. And I really get it when I hear it. I feel sad that he can't appreciate those tunes as much as I can, not feeling as close to the lyrics as he did,
Yeah.
But
That's interesting.
yeah.
I never ever talked to him about the lyrics.
Yeah. You can find that album. It's on Bandcamp. Honey, I think it's honey.bandcamp.com.
Hunny.
Yeah. And then thank you guys so much for having me.
Yeah, man.
yeah.
Thanks for being
I
here.
had a blast.
Yeah, Joe Imburgio, thank you. Like, he was on last episode where we were talking about album covers and cover songs. I think we're just going to do a whole new format where we're going to have an anchor of a topic, but let's get messy.
Look at you.
I mean,
Breaking
why
the
not?
rules.
I'm ready to,
If we just stayed on topic, we'd get a little boring.
it gets boring.
Yeah.
We just talk and just talks. You can find Joe Imburgio over at JV Squadcast.
Yeah, and then I'm at SI_badboy in my social media. It's Staten Island's Bad Boy.
Staten Island Bad Boy.
And my band's called Bueno. It's at Bueno NYC. And yeah, I think that's everything.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm Bill Gagliardi, and Joe Pecora is here as well. We are Rock Pops. We are released whenever, and this is the second half of season 1, and there are plenty to go. What's up?
We need a dad joke.
We need a dad joke? Do we?
Yeah.
Well,
You got a dad joke?
I don't know.
yeah.
Joe, you got a lot of. You have some corny jokes.
I don't even understand. First of all, they're not corny. They're very funny jokes. Second of all, I don't know what's the context. How do you guys? What do you mean
Don't
by
worry,
this?
we'll just edit it in.
Oh, okay. I don't.
You know how the mummy pays for things? Crypto.
Oh.
All right. Good night.
Oh.